In this video, we're going to draw or create the clock face part in Autodesk Fusion 360. So I have Fusion 360 open here. I want to point out this Show Data Panel icon. If you click that, you can see the files that are stored in the cloud. If you click it again, it will hide that. I have this part saved as Clockface 2021. You can do that just by clicking Save. If you click Save after you've saved it the first time, it just updates the file with the user saved window you just saw come up. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is create a sketch. I will pick the plane that I want the sketch to be on, and the first thing I want is a center diameter circle. I can click on that here. I can click Create, come down to Circle, and click Center Diameter, but you also see that C there. If I just press C on the keyboard, it brings up the Center Diameter Circle tool. I'm going to go to the intersection of these two axes, click, and then come out and click again. Now I can click there and then press D on the keyboard, or select Sketch Dimension here, or select Sketch Dimension here, and this diameter for the hole in the center of the clock face I want to be 0.3125 inches, and I can click Enter. How do I know that I'm working in inches? If I come up here to Document Settings, drop that down, it says Units Inches. I can click on that and change it to centimeters or millimeters, but I'm going to leave it inch. Alright, now I'm going to press C to put in another circle. I'm going to select the center point again, and this time you'll notice that the diameter of the circle is highlighted in blue and changes as I move the mouse. I can just type the 4.95 inches and press Enter, and it'll put in that circle. I now have this 2D sketch. I can click Finish Sketch to exit the sketch, but I want to be in the sketch and I want to make this 2D sketch a three-dimensional solid. So I'm going to come up here and click on Solid and Extrude. And here I select the profiles that I want to extrude. And I just want this outer area. I don't want to select what's inside the smaller circle, or I won't have a hole. I need to enter the distance that I want to extrude, which is 0.25. I could also enter minus 0.25, and instead of extruding in this direction, they would extrude in the other direction. And I do want this to be a new body, so I'm going to click OK. Now, even though I am recording this on a laptop, I have connected a regular mouse to the laptop, and that's because I find it a little frustrating to navigate with a trackpad in Fusion 360. The main tool on the mouse that I like is the scroll wheel in the center. You can zoom in and out on a trackpad. I just find the scroll wheel to be easier, and I use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out, as well as using the zoom in and out to move around in the field. But even more importantly, to get different views on with a trackpad, I usually end up selecting faces or corners on this cube in the right-hand corner of the screen. But if I press and hold the scroll wheel in the middle of the mouse, I can then drag the mouse while I'm holding the scroll wheel down to get a different view angle on the part. Alright, now we need to put in the 3 drilled and tapped holes around the perimeter of the clock face that allow the clock face to be mounted to the clock lens. So I'm going to select this surface, create a sketch, and the sketch tool I want is a line, or I can just type L on the keyboard. I'm going to click in the center and come up here. I'm going to go ahead and type in the 2.309 inches. Now alternatively, I could have clicked again to put in the other endpoint of the line, then gone to sketch dimension and put that in. But I'm just going to press escape to get out of that. This endpoint of the line is where I want the hole to be located, but this is a drilled and tapped hole, so instead of sketching a circle and extrude cutting that through, which I could do, I am going to go to Solid and select this hole tool. I need to select the face and sketch point where I want the hole to be located, so I'm going to select that point, which is on the face. And now there are some things I need to set up. I don't want a distance. I want this hole to be through all. I want it to be a simple hole. I want it to be a tapped hole. I want full, no thread offset. Drill point is fine and irrelevant since we're going through everything. The 118-degree drill bit is fairly standard, but again, that's irrelevant because we're going through everything. ANSI unified screw threads are what we want, and the size we want is this 0.138 or number 6-inch screw. The designation is a 632, 32 threads per inch. If you look, we have the option of 40, but we want 32 threads per inch. Class 2B fit is just fine. We do want this to be right hand, and we can click OK. And it puts that hole in there. Now you'll notice I've done one hole instead of 3, so I'm going to create a pattern, and it's going to be excuse me, a circular pattern. I want this to be features. There are different options like faces and bodies. Well, I want to pattern a feature, and I'm going to zoom in with the scroll wheel and select this feature. Now I need to select an axis to rotate around. I could select this blue axis, or I could select this circle, or I could select this outer circle. Any one of them will be fine. Now you'll notice that I have 3 holes. I could increase this to 4, then it would put 4 holes on. But I just want 3, and so I'm going to click OK. Alright, now there's a pocket in the back of this clock face that we need to put in. That pocket holds the clock works in a certain orientation, but more importantly, it provides mounting for the clock face when we mill off the extra material on the outside and do the engraving, drilling, and tapping on the front side. So it doesn't necessarily matter which side you decide will be the back of the clock face, but I'm going to go ahead and come around here to the back, and to get everything square I'm just going to click back there. Now I'm going to right click and select Sketch. And the first thing that I want to sketch is a type of rectangle, and it's a center point rectangle. First I'm going to click at the center point where the 2 axes cross, and I'm going to put in a rectangle. I want this rectangle to be a square. So I'm going to press Escape to get out of the rectangle tool. I'm going to click up here and select Equal under Constraints and select 2 sides. That makes them equal. Now I'm going to press D on the keyboard to get the dimensioning tool, and I'm going to dimension one of these sides to be 2.2 inches. Press Enter. This is the profile that we need to mill out of the back of the clock face. We will be milling this out with an end mill. If our end mill was 1/2 inch in diameter, we would have a 1/2 inch radius in this corner, which would likely interfere with the clock face and certainly wouldn't work with our fixturing. If we had an infinitely small end mill, we could get a perfect square corner in here, but it would take an infinite amount of time to mill this. The end mill we'll be using is 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So to allow for that milling and still get our full 2x2 square, I'm going to do the following. I'm going to click on this center circle, and then click somewhere on this line, and then click again in that corner. I'm going to do the same for each corner. Now you see that I have 4 circles here that are of different sizes. I want them to be the same size, so I'm going to click on this equal constraint. I've set those two equal to each other. Set those equal to each other. Now all the circles are equal to each other. Now I'm going to select D again for dimension. Select one of these circles. Now my end mill is 0.75 inches in diameter. So I'm going to set these circles at 0.76 inches in diameter. Just slightly larger than the end mill, so there will be room for the end mill when milling this out. So I now have this 2D sketch with all the geometry. I want to extrude that into the part, so I'm going to click Solid and Extrude. Instead of New Body, I'm going to do Cut, and then I need to select all of this geometry. Now you'll notice that the arrow indicating the direction of the extrusion is pointing in this direction. I can actually drag that arrow back through the part like that. But I don't want it to be 0.2 inches. I want it to be, I'm going to come over here and edit it. I do want that negative sign because I want the direction to be going into the part. But I want it to be 1/8 of an inch, negative 0.125 inches. I'm going to click OK. And now I have this pocket cut into the back of the part. Alright, the next thing we want to do with the part is come around here to the front of the face and put in a sketch for the numbers on the clock face. I'm going to right click on this face and click Sketch, and come up here and click on Sketch Tools. And the first thing I want to put in is a polygon. And I'm going to go ahead with this inscribed polygon. I'm going to click on the center here with the axes cross and drag up to 2 inches. I'm going to press Tab to go over to the 6, and I'm going to make that a, oops, looks like the tab didn't work. Let's go back, click 2, great, back where we want to be, Tab, now we're over to the 6, and oh, Tab, and well, this is proving a little difficult. 2, $12. Alright, managed to get it to work that time. And I'll set that in like there. And here we have a 12-sided polygon. Another thing that's important is that this point lies between the center here and the center of this hole. If it didn't, you could always get a line, click on that point, click to the center or up to the center of this hole, and then go to this horizontal vertical constraint and click on that line. Now I want to put in several center point rectangles. So I'm going to go to the rectangle tool, down to center point rectangle, and at each of the corners of this 12-sided polygon, I'll put in a rectangle. Now I want all the sides on all these rectangles to be equal to each other. So I'm going to select the equal constraint and start making sides equal. Alright, now I think I have all the sides equal. I'm going to select the Sketch Dimension tool and go up here to the 12 position and set that at 0.4 inches. Now a way I can check if I did actually set all sides equals, I can double click that 0.4 inches and type 0.2 inches and see if all the rectangles change. And they do. Go back to 0.4. Alright. Now I'm going to drop down Create and go to the Text tool. And I'm going to select this Text on a Path feature. And then I need to select the path. I'm going to start with the 12, and this is the path I'm going to select. I don't want the sample text. I want 12, and I want the height of the text to be 0.4, and I want the text to be centered. OK. Now I can repeat for the 1. And I can continue on around the clock face. All right, there I have the text for the numbers, and I can click Finish Sketch. And here we've successfully drawn the part that is the clock face.